Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Zwift Games. This is stage 4 in France, known as the Peaky Pave. It's 19.1 miles long and 1,271 feet of climbing, give or take a couple feet here and there. This route is known as the climb route. If you look on Zwift Inside or anything like that, it gives you those details. But for the most part, this is pretty flat throughout. There's going to be 3 climbs throughout the entire race. And on the map, you can see the big pointy pyramid in the very first part, a small climb towards the end, and then a climb to the finish. So for the first few miles, again, you only get one power up. Do not use it until you hit the climb. I've seen a couple people in the beginning, literally once they got the power up, hit it right away. Not sure if they knew or not, but I'm going to remind everyone, don't hit it until you want to use it. First, remember you only get one. I think the last race you might get 2, but for this one, you only get 1. And compared to the other Zwift games before, this is a pretty big field. 230 people for the 330 to 450 racing score. I looked at the results after. It's a very wide array of people, range from different weights, different racing scores, so on and so forth. But for the first 5 miles or so, you just want to maintain with the pack. There are some rolling climbs here and there or rolling hills. So just pay attention, because if you look away, I don't know, play on your phone, whatever, you miss it, you are going to get dropped based on how fast everyone is going and how bunched up it is. It starts to snake out, but we are going to hit our first climb right now. It isn't that long in length, but it is kind of like a ladder approach. So you will hit some lower gradients to a steeper gradient. Then it levels out to the flat blue, as you see on the screen. Then it goes back up to the yellow, red, so on and so forth, back to blue, and then continue on the climb. So the tactic for me here was to essentially maintain with the pack, just like any other climb out there. I'm not a climber, and if you aren't either, just figure out your pace and figure it out from there. So for me, I was trying to maintain 280, 290 watts, give or take, going up the hill, because usually everyone puts a little more effort going up a hill. That puts me about like 3.7 watts per kilo. Wanted to maintain that as best as I could, because I know for a fact if I burn out here, I'm going to get dropped. And my goal for this race was to be in the top 50% because of those few climbs that I saw beforehand. I didn't know how well I would perform, but so far so good. You can see the positions literally change every second. Sometimes I'll get up to like, I don't know, the highest I got was like to 9th place, and then I got dropped back to like 170th. So for the first climb, just make sure you're good. You know what your pacing is. Don't burn yourself out, because you are going to need that energy for the rest of the race. We are approaching the top of the climb. And again, thank you for the commenter and others that have said something about this. When you go over a climb, if you are new to racing, new to climbing, do not let go when you're at the top. So as you can see here, we're already starting to descend. It's like a negative 6% gradient, and it obviously fluctuates, but you want to maintain some power here. This is not the part to like rest your legs, spin down. As you see, people are flying by, and you want to maintain with that group. And we've already started splitting up. So the first group has roughly 50, 55 people. My current second group is a lot smaller, but we're gonna pick up those flyers in the front of us, and then the group behind us is gonna bridge that gap. It's roughly 55 to 80, so we have a good solid 25 people in this group. While it's not as big as the first group, we do try our best to try to catch up to them, so we can, bigger group better, more drafting, less work. So once you go down the first hill, same thing with the first portion, there's going to be rolling hills here and there. Remember to maintain that balance, because if you stop to get water, you look away, like I said before, play on your phone, you will get dropped. So just be sure to pay attention, because there are some hills here and there, but nothing steep or crazy, like I mentioned before. So the good news is I'm staying with the group. The bad news is my heart rate is a lot higher than I'm expected. I did purchase a portable fan, one of those that you kind of carry around with you on vacation if you're waiting in line at like Disney World or whatever event. And I put it next to me on the side of me, where next to the camera. So that kind of gave me a little extra air and it helped a lot in cooling me down. So for the most part, usually during the winter so far, I would peak at like 190 beats per minute, but luckily we're still like in the low 180s, which is okay given that this is a race and I am putting a lot more effort than I'm used to. And luckily have the windows open, great weather outside, a lot of airflow, which is great to keep me cool. But now we're approaching the second climb. This one is not very long, as you see on the screen. It's more so just yellow and red with blue mixed in. You just have to stay with the group as best as you can. You don't have to put in a lot of effort or sprint on this climb. Just make sure you're with the group. And once you get over that little last bit of a climb, you're good to rest for a little bit longer before we hit the major end. And as you see on the screen, we're starting to snake out. And we're very, very close to catching the first group, but we don't necessarily do so. And a lot of the comments on the screen, that first group says, let's keep that gap big, because once we bridge that gap, obviously people lose position and get a worse score or podium finish, whatever it may be. For the most part, we do maintain this. I am doing a lot better than I expected. I thought I would get dropped on the first climb, but I'm still technically with the first 1/3, 30, 40% of the riders out there. Again, big field for this race. I haven't seen one this big. I think the first Zwift Games was maybe 170 people, 180. So for the most part, big turnout for this race. And we're actually approaching the very final climb. I am very tired. I had the same tactic as the first climb in trying to pace myself, doing 3.7, 3.8, so 280 to 290 watts per kilo. But everyone starts picking up a little bit of speed, and we're so close to that first group that some people start taking off. This is known as the Petite KOM. It's 1.7 miles long, 4% gradient. And if you've rode any routes in France before, this is nothing new. So some of it is, some of it isn't. So, and the ending of this one is a little awkward. And awkward by the placement of the finish line. It's in the middle of a hill. So if you stop pedaling, you're just going to be standing in the middle of a hill. Anyways, I start getting dropped here. My body cannot push any further. I am literally gassed out. So there's not that many people behind me. A bunch of them pass, and the gap gets way too big for me to even try to catch up. My goal here was to finish in the top 80 people because that's how big the group was. And I'm just looking at the bottom right of my screen. There are people coming pretty quickly. The gap is getting smaller and smaller. And to maintain my position, I thought, well, let me just try to push as much as I can. There's less than a mile left. And the yellow gradient portions aren't too bad. I can maintain a decent watt per kilo there. Try to get to around 3 watts per kilo just to hold position. But for the most part, my heart rate is pretty high and my legs are saying, nope, don't do anymore. And you see the last bit of a finish is quite windy. But because of all the little dots I see on the screen, I was like, nope, I'm going to keep going. And this is what happens at the very last second or last half a mile. I was like, I'm going to push, burn all my energy. If I'm gassed out at the very, very end where I need to get off my bike and just lay down, I'm going to do it because I want to stay in the top 30% of people. And if you see the gradient on the screen, that blinking section with the yellow and red, dark red, is where essentially the finish line is, give or take. Only 0.3 miles left. Try to follow this guy and all the people that just passed me just so I can stay on the wheel, get a little bit of a draft to assist me to the finish. Not very much left. I still see people behind me, and that gives me a little bit of motivation to continue to the finish line. So here we go. Only 400 feet left, and I'm trying to pass this guy to get the last best position I can. Couldn't do it. Ended up 75th overall, which I'm pretty happy about. Averaged 3.4 watts per kilo for the entire for 20 minutes, but 3.1 over for the entire race. This race again is a climb-ish race, but a lot of rolling hills here and there. So just be careful and figure out your position, figure out how you are going to climb and maintain a steady cadence throughout, keep that balance. But for the most part, this is it for the race itself. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope to catch you guys on Zwift Games Stage 5.